Hi guys, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full review for this iPhone 8, and I took my time. In fact, I've now used this smartphone with my primary SIM for the last 40 days, and I'll tell you what I liked about it and what I did not like about it. And I would say definitely it's kind of a love and hate relationship that I have with this phone, and Apple could have seriously done a few things differently with this smartphone, in my frank opinion. So let's get on over it. I've made a lot of notes, so let's go over it, and I'll be highlighting all these important parameters in this video so that you have an idea if this is for you or not. I would say for majority of the users this is not the most practical phone. The regular iPhone 17 might be the best, but again, for some this might be good. So let's get on with the same. And first, let's talk about the in-hand feel of this one. And again, this is the slimmest phone that Apple has made. Yes, there are far more slimmer phones than this one, but this is the slimmest by Apple. It's having a 5.6 mm width. That's why in the promo material or whatever they call it, like this, the Air. And again, in terms of weight also, it's 165 grams. Again, I would say this is not the lightest smartphone that I have used, but again, the weight balance has been done well with this one. So it feels very nice in your hand. And again, I also like the screen on this one. The screen size, again, in terms of screen quality, no issues whatsoever. It's again a high quality screen that we're using. Good thing is that even in outdoor suns, it's adequately bright. So again, you don't have to worry about it. So no compromises among the screen, that I would say. And I really like the 6.5-inch screen. It's neither too big in my frank opinion, neither too small. The Max phones are just too big, I would say, and the regular ones at 6.3 feel a little bit compact. So this is the ideal screen size, I would say. Yes, you have to stretch your hand a little bit for the edges over here, but again, you don't have to do total hand gymnastics with this smartphone. Apart from that, I would say the build quality is also very good on this one. The outer, this one, chases or whatever you call, is actually titanium, so it's very rugged. And guys, I did a brave thing. I used it without the case for the last 40 days, and it got dropped a couple of times, and only one here I have a nick. So the build quality is actually good. You don't have to worry about the build quality on this smartphone. But in terms of colors, I am like perplexed with what Apple has done. This is actually supposed to be the gold color, but trust me, if you just look at from the back, it just looks a pale shade of white. Only gold, I would say, accents that you'll feel is here on the shiny rim. So that's what it is regarding the colors. They could have done slightly better in my frank opinion. So that's what it is. But again, in terms of screen quality and in the in-hand feel, I have to say this is one of the best iPhone that have used, I would say. In fact, because it's so slim and the weight is also not that much, when you put in the pocket or etc., you don't feel that it's there. And again, this might not affect to a lot of people, but again, sometimes I go for long runs or something and I have to keep a phone, and having this light phone makes it easier, I would say. So yeah, in terms of in-hand feel, I like it. Now let's talk about the battery on this one, or some of you might say the lack of battery. Technically, if you look at it, the capacity is actually pretty less, just 3149 milliamp hour. But to be very frank, I would say the battery did not disappoint me, and in the last 40 days it never died on me. The lowest it went was about 9% when I was totally out and very long day I had. Most of the days I was ending anywhere between 25 to about 35% based on the usage. Let me actually show you the battery stats to give you an idea. If you go to the setting and if you go to the battery, okay, again, my battery health is normal, and let's go also look at the battery health, and I've done only 30 charge cycles, though I've used it for about more than 40 days now. So yes, I was not completing a full cycle per day. And now let's look at the battery stat. Okay, let's not look at today. Let's look at, let's say, 2nd November. Here, I used 68% of the battery. And so we have roughly, what, about 32% left. And screen on time of 3 hours, 37 minutes. This day was actually a lot of time I was outdoors, so it was only on mobile data. One thing I noticed is that when it's on Wi-Fi, actually, the battery life increases quite a bit on this one, far more efficient. For example, here, as you can see, 64% 100% used, and we got a screen on time of 4 hours 25 minutes. And again, let me show you 4 hours with 60 minutes. So easily I would say when I was maxing out, it doesn't show, Apple doesn't show data prior to this, a lot of data. But again, I was also getting easily about 5 hours to 6 hours also with this smartphone. So up to 6 hours you can get if you are mostly in with Wi-Fi. On mobile data, I would say you can get about 5 odd hours of battery life. So battery life, which was my biggest worry about this phone, that's not a worry. The battery is decent, but again, I won't say it's great. If I compare it with the iPhone regular, that is iPhone 17, that will get you almost about 30 minutes of extra SOT. So battery life, I would say, if you're sort of a normal user, you don't do heavy gaming and you don't use the camera extensively, I would say, then it will last you for a typical day. Again, charging, iPhones are not super fast. Again, thankfully this also has Type-C charging, but again, charging speeds are just average on this one. It was pulling around 20-ish watts when I was charging it. So again, it charges pretty quickly, I would say, the first 30 minutes. But again, if you want a full charge, almost about 1 hour, slightly more than 1 hour, you have to keep it on charge. So that's what it is. But battery life, surprisingly, I would say, was not a deal breaker. I was just keeping it on charge at night and morning. I always had it with the morning when I was going for even jogs, etc. And the full day at night, I didn't have a problem. Okay, next thing I was worried about, and that is heating. And I have to say, here it's a love and hate relationship. If you're using the phone normally for day-to-day tasks, calling, etc., Twitter, whatever, YouTube browsing and all those things, you don't have a problem with that. I would say it does not heat up or anything. But what I have noticed is that when you start doing some little bit of heavy multitasking, for example, just 2 days ago, this is a very peculiar thing that I noticed. I think I was browsing on Twitter or something, but my actually wife told me to order something from Zomato, and I've used that, and I've ordered it. And I started noticing when I came back to Twitter after some time that background activity was running Zomato. It was tracking it, how much time it will take. This area started to get extremely hot. If you guys recall, this is something like the Snapdragon 810 processors. When you touch it, it used to become actually hot. If you touch it, that hot it actually became. So again, what I've noticed is that if you're just using one task normally or anything, it just barely gets warm. If you touch it, it gets slightly warm. But again, if you're doing a little bit of heavy multitasking, etc., and also let's say the GPS is working in the background to track something, then it becomes extremely hot, I would say. So that is something that I did not like. Another thing where I noticed that it quickly actually becomes very hot is when you use the camera. So if you're using the camera, if we talk about the camera, it's just a single camera at the back. Yes, camera also, if you use, it becomes extremely hot. It's not like I had a problem while using the camera or something, but I noticed it does get hot. And the reason for that is that the processor and everything is in this area, and this entire thing is actually battery. There is no vapor cooling or anything to dissipate. So this area, especially this, becomes extremely hot to touch. In normal situations, not a problem, but again, at times randomly, if you're doing multitasking or something like that, you'll notice the heat on this smartphone. So I would say Apple could have done a better job. Another small thing, and I noticed it, if you use the phone normally, for example, right now I'm using, there is no lag or anything because it's 120 hertz screen, no jitterness or lag or anything like that. But when it actually becomes hot or something, I think so the processor is throttling, because at that time I was doing that Zomato thing in the background and I was using this Twitter. I noticed that the scrolling also was not that smooth. So again, it is thermally throttling when using heavily with multitasking. Okay, next thing is regarding the voice calls that I'm getting on this one. Again, extremely good, no issues whatsoever. The earpiece is brilliant on this one, no issues. Even speakerphone, though it's just having a single speaker, the speaker is okay, I would say, for taking calls. One more place I completely forgot about heating is that when you, for example, taking video calls, etc., or on WhatsApp, you get video call. Oh my God, this one gets extremely hot. So these are the situations that I have noticed. But in terms of calling, regular smartphone calling and etc., the reception was very good. I did not have problems with Wi-Fi reception, and even the 5G etc. on this one. I tested it from 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz. I have a Wi-Fi 6 router currently. Again, I did not have a problem. So that way, I'd say in terms of networking, I did not have a issue. But again, beware, though the speakerphone is okay, adequate, but again, if you're coming from a smartphone that has proper dual speakers and they're very loud, you'll notice that the speakers are just okay. I would say I was keeping the volume level of this one. Let me actually show you. Let me just show you my own video so that we don't fall into copyright issues. Let's just look at the unboxing video of okay, let's look at the iPhone 17 Pro video. And I'll also compare it. Let me increase the volume. iPhone 16 Pro that I have. So let's get on with this one. So this is the volume that I keep at about 75%. Unit. Let me just max. This is the maximum one. It is the iPhone 14. iPhone the Pro model. The thing is that they have managed to make the speaker pretty loud for a single speaker. But again, what happens is that the shriller tones are actually a lot more shriller, and that bass, when you start going above 80%, the bass just flattens out. That single speaker is there. I would say it's not a deal breaker, but again, as it's a single speaker, I would say that stereo effect you will simply not get. But I have to say, the speakers I thought will be a total disappointment, to be very frank, but that was not the case. But I'm disappointed with Apple. They should have actually given a stereo speaker. Let's not make excuses. Samsung did it with the Samsung Edge. That has, this is also that slim smartphone, but that has a proper dual speaker. Okay, now let's talk about the camera. Only a single camera that you are getting. Apple just says this is a fusion camera, blah, 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 blah. But again, it's just a single camera that you're getting. And it's a good single camera. And if you open the camera interface, you also get this 1x, 2x. And I would say till this 2x, you get actually pretty decent shot. This was a shot that I just took in the morning. As you can see, that is 1x. And 2x also, it's actually good. And you can digitally zoom in also using the pinch to zoom gesture. But I would say going above that 4x is not a good thing, I would say. Then you'll notice the limitation of the camera. Fortunately, I would say the front-facing camera is brilliant on this one. Again, this is that new front-facing camera that we are even seeing in the Pro series and regular one, and I like the front-facing camera on this one. But again, here are some of the samples that I have taken with this one. But definitely, I would say I missed the ultra wide quite a few times because I wanted to capture the vibe of that place, and with just a single camera, I couldn't capture that total vibe in certain situations. That ultra wide, I was missing it quite a bit. But here are the samples. These samples were taken with the rear facing camera in a mall, and I like that even neon signs were produced well with this one, and the color production was good. This was actually 1x, this is actually 2x, and this was finally 4x. At this 4x, again you start losing detail. One more example, regular, and this was at 2x zoom. In this shot, I missed that ultra wide. This was with the regular lens, and here I used the panorama to get an idea, but again, that ultra wide I missed. And this shot also, that was a very good sunset, but I missed the ultra wide to get the vibe of the shot. This picture was taken in pretty dull lighting, and also in dull lighting it does an okay job. Another thing to notice, there is no macro mode, so if you go close up to an object, it just blurs. But if the lighting is good, generally the color reproduction is good with this smartphone. The dynamic range in harsh lighting can be a total miss. Notice the area around the arrow, it is completely washed out, but this is actually how it looks. So dynamic range in harsh lighting can be a total disaster at times. But outdoors, if the lighting is good, pictures generally come out good. But again, shadow detail could have been slightly better. If the background is very bright, again, the dynamic range is not good. This was taken in the normal regular mode, and this was taken in the portrait mode. Again, it could have lit up the face a lot better. One more example, this is regular mode with backlighting, and again, this was portrait mode. Again, in portrait mode, it zooms in automatically. These were taken in the regular mode, and again, I would say in terms of color color reproduction for Indian skin tones. It makes your skin tone a little bit darker in my frank opinion, and this was in the portrait mode. Now these are some of the samples taken with the front facing camera, and overall I have to say the front facing camera does a very good job. This was taken in the portrait mode with the front facing camera. This was taken in the regular mode. Again, these were taken in the portrait mode, and you also have the lighting effects in the portrait mode, so you have quite a bit of functionality. This again, it can go very wide with the front facing camera also, and these are the different aspect ratios that you can use with the front facing camera. This video is shot with the rear facing camera of the iPhone 8, and I'm shooting it in 4K. And again, as it has a single lens, we can just use that 2x digital crop, and you can also use the pinch to zoom. But as I've told you, above 4x, this is 4x, you shouldn't zoom in because you'll start losing the detail, and max anyways it can go up to 6x. So I'll just go back to 1x and give you an idea. And luckily the dynamic range, at least in video, is good. As you can see, harsh lighting, shadowed area over here. And if I just go over also like this, here I would say it's able to handle the exposure pretty well. Let me just climb these stairs to give you an idea how is the stabilization on this one. Yes, it has optical image stabilization, but this is how you will again considering that single camera that it has, the single camera video recording quality is as good as other iPhones, but again you don't get that flexibility of ultra wide on this one. So this is, again, I'm going to climb down the stairs to give you an idea. So this was a quick sample video with the rear facing camera, but again, do remember that again, when you use the camera on this one, it can heat up quite a bit very quickly. So again, if you're planning to record long sessions, not recommended. Shooting this video with the front facing camera of this iPhone 8, let me just go in a sunny area. Very harsh sunlight that we have. It's almost 12 o'clock. So again, as you can see, I'll just move into shadowed area to give you an idea how it's handling light. And the fact that I like with the front facing camera is that you can hold it like this. You don't have to hold it in this orientation to get this effect. So I have to say the front facing camera is a big improvement on the new iPhones this year, including this iPhone Air. Okay guys, now let's talk about some of the things that I did not like with this one, and Apple could have definitely done a far better job on this iPhone Air with that one. And the first thing is regarding the pricing. I would say, especially in India, again, I purchased this one, and this is the base variant that comes with 256 gigabytes. Luckily, Apple this year starts all their phones with 256 gigabytes. So storage is okay, I would say, because anyways, I'm using cloud storage, that is iCloud. I have to use, anyways, you have to use it. So I'm not bothered about that. But again, I don't like the pricing of this one. It's priced at 1,19,990. That's almost 1,20,000. And frankly, I feel for that price, this is pretty expensive smartphone for what you are getting. Again, I miss the fact that you don't have that ultra wide or that stereo speakers. They should have managed to put that one. And definitely I would say pricing at that 1,20,000, you're definitely paying quite a bit of a premium for this smartphone. I would say, I feel Apple would have got a lot more sales with this smartphone if they would have priced it just below a lakh at something like 99,999 in my frank opinion. So I feel grossly in India, this smartphone is sort of overpriced. I'll leave the link of Amazon in the description so that you can check Amazon India, so that you can check the latest pricing. But yeah, pricing, I would say Apple did a bad job with this one, and that is the reason I think so this smartphone is just not selling that much. That is one of the reasons, because it's just priced too much for what it is. Next thing is the camera. I've already told you they should have fit in that ultra wide, because I thought that the single camera will be okay or something, but as I've told you, in certain evening sunsets or something, when I was seeing, I wanted to capture that vibe. I simply could not get that vibe with the single camera in certain locations. So I sorely miss that ultra wide on this one. And also that single speaker is something that should have been there. Again, I would say it's not a deal breaker. As you can see, the speakers are decent, but again, I wished they did actually put a stereo speaker. Again, because I don't know, from last so many years, even budget-oriented smartphones that cost 20,000 etc. come with a stereo speaker. So that is something that's a sore thumb in my frank opinion. And lastly, talking about the battery life, if you are sort of a regular user, it would be fine. But again, if you are sort of a gamer, or if you use the camera extensively, then I would say this smartphone is not for you because of the two reasons. If you do a lot of gaming and use the camera quite a bit, the battery life will degrade quite a bit, and also you'll have that heating issues. So this was my review of the iPhone Air after using it for almost more than 40 days. I would say it's sort of a love and a hate relationship that I have with this smartphone. I have to say, in terms of in-hand feel and the general day-to-day usage that I do with this phone, I love for what it is. But again, I do not like the missing ultra-wide camera and sometimes that heating issues that I have with this smartphone. So guys, this was my review of the iPhone Air. If you guys are still not subscribed to this YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.